Hi friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. I wanted to just do a little chill, chatty book tag video. I actually saw Haley Barber post this book tag like months ago, like very early in my rediscovering of my love of reading. Like so early to the point that I was like, I don't even have enough books in my repertoire to talk about just yet. So kind of put it on the back burner, but now I am ready. I have been back heavily in my love for reading for the last 6 months. And in that time, I've read a lot of books. Let me pull it up. So since 6 months ago, mid-February, I have read 70 books. Technically 72 if you count my DNF'd books, but fully read 70 books. I'm very proud of myself that I have read that many books in 6 months. That is absolutely crazy to me, but because of that, I think I have read enough books that I can now participate in the book recommendations tag. Like I said, I saw this on Haley Barber's channel. I'll have her video down below. I don't know who initially started this tag off the top of my head, but I will find out, and I will also have that video linked down below. These are 15 questions about just various book-related things, various recommendations about specific things, stuff like that. I'm really excited to do this video. I love reading. I love talking about books. I love doing my monthly reading wrap up, get ready with me's. I love chatting about books and vlogs, and now we're gonna do a book tag. As always, I tag all of you to participate in this tag if you feel like it. Feel free to make your own video or just answer the questions in the comments. I will have all of the questions listed in my description box for you. And before we get into it, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on Instagram and TikTok and probably YouTube Shorts by the time this video goes up. As far as my accessories today go, this is just a basic choker. I don't know where it's from. These plugs are Love Kills Boutique, and then this hat is Witchwood Bags. I love it. I also got this spooky Mickey t-shirt at Hot Topic last fall, and I love it. I'm actually going to Mickey's Not So Scary tonight, so I'm feeling all the Halloween spooky things, and I'm very excited. So without further ado, let's hop into this book tag. Side note, this is probably gonna be like at least a week and a half to 2 weeks, maybe longer pre-filmed. It's just kind of one of those things that I don't have anything specific to film right now, but I want to film. Who knows? I might have new things that I would have answered in the books that I'll read in that time, but for now, these are my answers. I tried really hard not to repeat things. There are certain things that definitely overlapped, but in that case, I just gave another recommendation for these questions. Number 1, a book you tell everyone is your favorite. I did discover my all-time new favorite book last month, and it is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I fell head over heels in love with Every Summer After by Carly Fortune a few months ago, and I kept hearing from people that if I loved that book, I would really like this one as well, and I did. I loved it so much. It's a past and present point of view, childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance. It gets so emotional in the end. I love the characters. It was just such a beautiful, lovely story that I loved reading and unfolding. And like I said, I just felt so emotional when it was over. And after I closed the book, like whenever I give something a 5-star rating, like I feel it in my soul. I can't really explain it. Most of the time I give things that I enjoy like 4 to 4.5 stars, but I like can feel it deep in my soul if it's a 5-star read. And not only did I feel this one as a 5-star read, but I was like, I think this is my favorite book. Like I loved it so much. I ran through it so fast and I just absolutely adored it. So if you love a childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, you would probably really enjoy this one. By the way, my reading taste tends to be romance, fantasy, thriller. Like those are kind of my 3 vibes as of the moment at this point in time. Maybe that'll change. I do want to enter my horror era at some point. I already have 2 books that I'm excited to read in that genre, but for now, those are kind of my main book preferences. Question number 2, a book that is your guilty pleasure. At first, I did not know what to answer for this because I'm pretty like, I don't know, unashamed at the things I read. Like I'm down to read the most smutty things and also the most cheesy, wholesome things. Like I'm down for it all. But I decided to go with Verity by Colleen Hoover, not because the book itself, but just because I feel like if I ever mention Colleen Hoover, I get like random comments of people just like so upset or annoyed that I've read a Colleen Hoover book. Like people either love her or absolutely hate her. I'm kind of in between. Like I've only read 3 of her books, and honestly, I'd like to read more of them, but I kind of put it on pause because like, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm doing something wrong if I read one of her books. So I'm just gonna consider this one my guilty pleasure because I genuinely loved this book. I thought it was a great kind of suspenseful-esque kind of book. It's not like super spooky thrilling, but it has a little bit of a thriller essence to it rather than her normal romance style. But yeah, I just feel kind of weird mentioning her books now because people kind of made me feel bad about it. So that's my answer for number 2. Question number 3, a book everyone loved, but you don't. Now, I didn't hate this book. I just didn't get quite as in love with it and full of the hype as other people did. It's The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I think I gave this like a solid 3.5 stars. Like, it was cute. Kind of like a fake dating, workplace romance sort of thing, but not really because it's like a school setting. It's a whole thing. Very sciencey. It's kind of cheesy. I feel like some parts lingered a little too much. Some parts were just like a little painful to read, just because it was a little too cheese fest in a bad way for me. But it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it. I didn't feel the need to DNF it. I didn't feel the need to rate it lower than like 3.5 stars. But I also don't really feel compelled to read her other books at this moment in time, especially because I've heard that they're all kind of the same premise. So who knows if I will get to those, but yeah. I would consider this one the one that everyone loved, but I didn't because I feel like everyone was talking about it, which is what prompted me to buy it. I get a lot of my book recommendations, not only from you in the comments, but also like booktubers and book talk and stuff like that. And this one I feel like everyone talks about and everyone's obsessed with, and it just wasn't completely my vibe. Question number 4, a book you read the fastest. This was like the most impossible one for me to answer because I read really fast. Like on average, I read a book every 2 to 4 days. Probably a solid 3 is how fast I read a book, but there's times I've read books in a singular day. Sometimes it only takes me like a day and a half. I read really, really fast. Like when I get invested in a book, I just want to like get to it. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to read it all today, which is so rare for me because I read every single day, even if it's just a little bit before bed. I just don't really have time today because I've been working, doing YouTube stuff, and then we're going to Disney and we won't get home until like 2 in the morning and I'm absolutely going right to sleep. So I decided just to pick one that I do vividly remember reading pretty fast that I haven't already mentioned. And that's The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Same author as Love in Other Words. This is the first one I read from this author and it made me want to read that book even more. And I'm just obsessed with her writing. I love her writing style. She's so funny and it's so captivating for me. I can just like live in these books. I want to read so many of her books so bad. These are the only 2 I own. So if you have any favorites by her that I haven't read yet, which are only those 2, please let me know because I don't know where to start next because she has a lot of books. But The Unhoneymooners, this is just a cute little like enemies to lovers. They go on a vacation together unwillingly, but kind of just taking over for her sister and her new husband who got sick and can't go on their honeymoon. So her and the best man go instead. And it was a really cute story. I actually read this when I was on vacation this summer and I just flew through this. It was a day in particular that I was in the airport a lot. So I just like flew through this. It was a really easy, fun read. I loved reading it. And I specifically remember regretting not bringing a second one for that day flight because it was just like a day trip. It wasn't like a long flight. So I didn't bring all of my luggage with me. And I brought a lot of books on that trip. But I only brought the one because I was like, I only need one book. It's just a day. I regretted not having an extra book because I finished this one and then I had nothing to do. So I do remember reading this one really fast. I thought it was really cute, super fun story. Number 5, a book you think deserves more hype. I also didn't know what I was going to answer for this one just because, again, I get a lot of recommendations because they're hyped up. Like it's hard for me to even answer this because I feel like a lot of the books I read are already hyped up. Like that's why I know about them. But I decided to go based on a personal bias and answer this one with the book that got me back into reading. The first book I read back in mid-February that started it all. It's The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I wasn't even looking for books. I wasn't on BookTube at that time. I wasn't looking for recommendations. We were just in Savannah for a little long weekend trip. And we were walking through this bookstore that I really, really like, East Shaver. It's really cute. It's really old and there's cats that live there. It's just the best. And I was peeking around the like romance section and I just like saw this book and I just felt compelled to buy it for no reason other than I just felt like it. So I bought it on a whim and I read it within 2 days and I love it. And now it is like a fairly popular book. Like I've seen it recommended before. I've seen it in like TikTok recommendation sections at like Barnes & Noble, but I do feel like it deserves more hype. Like it needs to be even more hyped up because it's what brought me back into the world of reading and I want everyone else to have that feeling too. It was just a super cute kind of second chance romance, enemies to lovers, witchy rom-com. I love a witchy rom-com. It's like one of my favorite things ever. I love the mixture of like magical fantasy with just like cutesy, easy to read rom-com. And I just loved this. I thought it was such a cute story, and this is the one I think deserves more hype because it was my first one back into my reading journey. Number 6, a book that is becoming a movie or TV show. Now, I almost talked about like A Summer I Turned Pretty or Red, White, and Royal Blue, but those already have come out as shows and movies. So it's like, what else do I have that is coming out as a movie or a show? And it's one that I just read recently. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am so late to the train on this one. People were telling me to read this for so long, and I finally read it like 2 weeks ago. I loved this. I loved this story so much. I think I gave this a solid 5 stars actually. It was so good. It seems kind of divided on Taylor Jenkins Reid. People seem to either love her writing or they really don't like it. I personally loved it, and after I finished, I was like, I want to see a movie made out of this. So I Googled it, and apparently Netflix owns the rights, and they are currently working on a movie. There's no cast or anything yet, so I think it's still in the very early stages of development, but I cannot wait for that to get done. I want to see this in a movie form. I hope it does the book justice. I'm really excited for it. Number 7, a book that you have reread the most. I have not reread any of these books yet. I don't know if I will or when I will. I feel like it would probably have to be like a good chunk of time has to go through for me to want to reread something. I want to kind of forget about it a little bit. The only other things I have in my little library right there that I have reread more than anything, and I didn't feel like climbing up on a ladder to get them. I have them very high up because I don't need to access them anymore, but it's the Twilight franchise. I reread those so much growing up. I love Twilight, both ironically and unironically. It's just such a fun time. I love the cheesiness of the vampires. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Yeah, that's what I've reread more than anything in my library currently. Question number 8, a book from a genre you don't typically read. I could have given it to 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but on a similar vein, also by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Daisy Jones and the Six. These are just more like literary fiction. Like I said, I mostly read like rom-coms or fantasy or thrillers. I don't really read just like, I don't know, literary fiction where there's not really like a set genre specifically. So I would give it to this. And this one specifically, Daisy Jones, it's written in like an interview format. I loved this book. It was so good. So it's a different writing style for sure. So also something I don't typically read. But I thought this was fantastic. I loved the show that went along with this. I thought it was so good. I loved it. I don't typically read stuff like this, but I loved it. And I want to read more Taylor Jenkins Reid so bad. These are the only 2 I own from her. So let me know what I need to read next. I want to read One True Loves and Malibu Rising really bad. So let me know if you have any other thoughts. Side note, I'm also on like a book ban until like at least the end of October because I bought so many books during my birthday weekend, early July, and then I've also gotten gifted a lot of books from friends. I have like 30 books I haven't read yet, so I'm going to work on those and then I'll buy more books. So any recommendations will be for down the road, not currently. I have too many books on my plate. Question number 9, a book you think deserves all the hype it gets. And I have to give it to the ACOTAR series. Specifically, my favorite one is the 4th one, A Court of Silver Flames. I loved this book. I loved Nesta's story. It was so good. I remember being a little nervous to read this series because of how hyped up it is. I was like, what if I hate it? Like, these are also big books. Like, what if I commit all this time and I don't like it? But I loved it. I loved the first book. I loved the second one far more. Really liked the third one, and I loved the 4th one. Like, if I had to rank them, I would do 4, 2, 3, 1. And the little novella was really cute as well. The Frost and Starlight or whatever. This is such a good series. It definitely deserves all the hype it gets in my personal opinion. It's a good mixture of fantasy meets romance. I own 2 of the Throne of Glass books already, and I'm excited to dive into that series. I just want to postpone a little bit, especially because I am on a self-induced book buying ban, so I don't want to like get into them and then feel the need to buy more. So I'm going to wait until probably October to start that series, but ACOTAR deserves all the hype it gets in my opinion. Question number 10, a book you recommend when you ask to give a recommendation. I was kind of thrown by this question because I was like, isn't that the point of this tag? So I decided just to give additional recommendations under my 3 preferred genres. Romance would be my favorite before I discovered Love in Other Words. It would be Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Again, childhood friends to lovers, past, present, perspective, second chance romance. I loved the characters. I loved the setting. It was just magical and wonderful and so cute. I loved this book. As far as thrillers go, my mother-in-law got this for me for my birthday in July, and I loved it. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I really want to read more of this author's books. I just don't have any yet. I really want to read Final Girls. I heard that one was really good. But I really liked House Across the Lake. I wasn't really sure where the twist was going. Like, I had suspicions, but I was not there. I did not know what was happening. The twist was not what I was expecting, and I thought this was just a really fun story. I liked the characters. I thought it was a really fun, easy, quick read. Like, I blew through this really fast and I really enjoyed every minute of it. And then as far as fantasy goes, just specifically, again, I know I'm trying not to repeat things, but I'm gonna give it to ACOTAR. I would have maybe given a different answer, but I'm gonna talk about that book later. But just ACOTAR in general, I feel like if you want to delve into the world of fantasy, especially if you're someone who already likes romance, I would recommend this. And if you don't like romance, I don't feel like the romance is like the most prevalent part of this. I know some people would disagree with me. I read a lot of romance books. Romance is not the forefront of this series, in my opinion. There's a lot of just fantastical adventure type stuff. Romance is just kind of an extra thing included, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a full-on romance book. But it does have the best of both worlds, in my humble opinion. So I would recommend this as well. Moving on, I'm having so much fun filming this. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video because this is really fun for me. Number 11, a book that has your favorite characters. So many of these books have favorite characters of mine, but I had to give it to Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I love the Knock 'Em Out series. I love this one. I love the sequel. The 3rd one comes out in September. I can't wait for it to arrive. I pre-ordered it months ago, so I'm so excited for it to arrive. I love this town, the town of Knock 'Em Out. I just feel like Lucy Score does such a good job with her world building that, like, I felt like I was there in that town. She's so good with the main characters and really like building them up and giving them like such unique personalities, but she doesn't shirk the side characters either. I feel like all the side characters have something really special to them. They offer something special to the story. I love this series. Like, they seem like they'd be really thick for a romance, and they kind of are, but I also read through these really fast. Like, these are really quick reads for me personally, and I cannot wait for the 3rd one. Number 12, a book you wish you could live in. I almost said The Ex-Hex, but then I wanted to save that for a different answer. But the world of The Ex-Hex is just so cute. I love the town. It sounds so cozy and wonderful. It's autumn in the first book, and oh my gosh, it's everything I want. But I decided to give the answer to Shady Hollow by Juno Black. Shady Hollow is a really cute, cozy murder mystery. It is based in the lives of little animals that kind of have like humanoid personalities where they have jobs and they like go into town and get a coffee. It's really cute. Like, think Fantastic Mr. Fox kind of vibes. That's what I picture when I read this. But the town of Shady Hollow just sounds like the most cozy thing in the world. I want to go to the local coffee shop. I want to go to the bookstore. Like, I just want to go to all these places that are built up in this story. There's 3 in this story, and I love them so much. I think there's a 4th one coming out as well. But it's so cozy. If you need a cutesy, cozy, easy, quick read murder mystery, I would recommend this. It's a little cheesy because it's like animals, you know, but like, it's really cute. I really like these. Number 13, a book you thought you would hate but ended up loving. This was another really hard one for me because like, the books I'm buying because like, I think I'm gonna genuinely love it based on other people's recommendations. I don't buy things thinking I'm gonna hate it. I'm the same way with makeup. Like, if I think I'm gonna hate something, why would I spend my money on it? But this one was one that like, I've seen recommended a few times, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, a YA murder mystery, like, is it gonna be like Pretty Little Liars? Like, I don't know. I don't really want that vibe. But eventually I picked it up. It was one of the like buy one get one half offs at Barnes & Noble one time, so I grabbed it just to have it, and I loved it. It was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Why did nobody tell me that this was so good? I think I gave it 5 stars. Like, I loved this book. Basically, this disappearance happened like 5 years prior of the senior in high school. They ended up hitting it on the boyfriend, who ended up, unfortunately, unaliving himself. And now, fast forward to the present, Pip is now a senior in high school, and she's doing kind of like like a senior thesis dissertation kind of thing. And she basically wants to uncover the truth. She does not think the boyfriend did it. She thinks there's more to the story. And it is so cool running through the story. I did not expect who did it in the end. I had so many theories and they were all incorrect. But I loved it. You get just like regular story of like just the story going, but then you also get little like excerpts of like things she's working on and like little entry logs to like her project that she's working on. It's just such a cool story. I really like the format and I want to read the other two in the series so bad. Let me know if they're worth it or if I should just stop here, because I don't want to like ruin a good thing if I don't like the other ones. Number 14, a book that made you cry. I have to give it to The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This is so cute. I almost put that as one of my favorite books because I also loved this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was such a fantastic read. It's about this girl who's a ghostwriter. She ends up going back to her hometown who her family runs a funeral parlor. And not only is she a ghostwriter for a big author, but she can also see ghosts. Fun little coincidence there. And then this guy that I think he's like the new editor for like the books that she's working with. His ghost ends up showing up at her family's house and she has to help him out. And I just loved going through like all the events that are happening, all the different things that are playing out, and kind of the mysteries that are unraveling. The way it all like wrapped up in the end just made me so emotional in like a good way that I literally like was crying because I felt just like emotional and happy. It was such a good story. I loved this so much. It's so cozy, very fall. Like if you need a good cozy fall read, I would recommend this one. There's a little bit of romance involved, but honestly the romance isn't like the main plot point. Like it doesn't get too smutty or anything. It was so good. Number 15, final question, a book you wish you could read again for the first time. And so many of these I wish I could read again for the first time. I just want to experience that feeling again of not knowing what's happening and then just being so pleased with how it wrapped up. But I decided to give it to the Crave series. There are 5 books in the series, 6 books in the series. I don't even know. The last one came out like a couple months ago. There's either 5 or 6 books. The second one was personally my favorite, but just that series as a whole, I loved going through this story. It like makes me sad that it's like over. Like it was a great conclusion to the series. Like everything wrapped up the way it needed to in my opinion, but I'm sad that like I've already experienced this, you know, and like it's done and I can never experience it again unless like this turns into a movie or TV show adaptation, of course, which I will absolutely eat up if it happens. But these are really cute kind of YA fantasies. Think Twilight, but improved upon. And it's not just vampires. There's other kind of fantastical, mystical things in the story as well. I don't want to give anything away, but this was so good. Obviously, vampires is the main premise of the first book, and it was just so cute. Very like adventure driven as you carry on throughout the series. It was just a really good time. I loved just going through this book. I really felt like I was super immersed in it and it was such a good time. So I would love to reread this series again, like for the first time. Like I wish I didn't already know about it. And yeah, those are my book recommendations. I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you read any of the books I talked about today? Do you feel similarly if you read it? Like, do you feel like it fits that prompt for you as well? And again, I would just love to hear your answers to these questions. I love getting book recommendations. I'm constantly writing new book recommendations down. So I would just love to hear your thoughts. Leave them all down below. If you made it to the end of this video, leave some book emojis, obviously. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. If you haven't already, you can follow me on my other socials. You can join the battybean fam. I'm battybean on everything. Instagram, TikTok, you know the drill. And if you want, you can subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I'm posting most days here as well. And also feel free to join my channel memberships. The link to sign up will be down below. You'll get fun little perks, including a members only Get Ready With Me once a month. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye. I already know, I'm already predicting that this is gonna be a very low viewed video, but for those of you who watch this, we get each other. Like, I'm so happy you're here. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. I just love talking about books.